Welcome to an episode of Chat Sports Talk, and welcome to Week 2 of the NFL 2023 season. This is time frame for we go over the upcoming week schedules of games and kind of give you my picks and predictions for said games. You kind of see if I could improve on what I did my previous week. Last week, week 1, we saw a lot of statement wins, a lot of dominant performance, especially by Dallas and San Francisco that look to be the top two teams right now in the NFC. We look at the AFC with the defending champs losing the opening game to Detroit Lions. I'm saying that, the AFC is vulnerable because a lot of the premier favorites all lost. We saw the rookie quarterbacks are making a nice statement in their teams and being very solid performers, and some of them were making some correct choices and barely making any mistakes. We've seen veterans go out, holdouts come back, and we've seen, like I said, week 1 tend to be a continuation of preseason because a lot of times the starters don't play preseason games because their positions are guaranteed. Every so often they probably go out there, play a series or two, just to, get some reps against actual, in an actual game environment. So the offenses tend to be a little rusty in the beginning of the season, about week 1, week 2, and after that, that's when offenses really start to click and start performing. This is where normally the defenses dominate. So, but I'm not going to take nothing away from anyone that won. A lot of them were a lot of good games. Some of them were a coin toss, and a lot of times I picked the wrong side of the coin. Actually, every time I think I picked the wrong side of the coin. So let's just go ahead and start off with tonight. Matchup as the time of recording this. I'm recording this on Thursday. Thursday Night Football is taking off on Prime Video, where the Philadelphia Eagles will host the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Philadelphia did struggle last week in New England, but New England does have a decent defense, and actually their offense was actually quite good as well, and Philly's defense stepped up to the plate, even though they're missing a lot of elements from last year's Super Bowl run. Minnesota just started off strong and finished weak. They couldn't really sustain much beyond that. So a decent defense will stifle Minnesota, but they will make the Cousins and Jefferson will have a nice connection. And I really see that those two will continue to thrive, especially against that Philadelphia secondary. It's everything else about Minnesota I'm not too sold on right now. I thought they were good enough to win the North, so I thought the North wouldn't be very competitive, but Detroit and Green Bay has really, changed that aspect a whole heck of a lot. I knew Detroit would be competitive. I thought Green Bay would be competitive because of the defense. I thought Chicago would be up there. That's so much for Chicago. But anyways, with Philadelphia, Minnesota, right now, Philly's favored by 6, and that is generous. Nothing against Jalen Hurts. He has proven that he is that caliber of a quarterback. Certain players would have went a certain direction, and at Super Bowl, they would have been Super Bowl champions. And he would have been in Super Bowl MVP. No doubt about it. But now it's time for him to continue that legacy he's starting to build in Philly. And the best way to do that is to knock off Minnesota. And I do think they will beat Minnesota, and I think it will be a lot closer than 6. I think it'll be a lot closer than 3. This is going to be a very tight game, but I will give it to Philadelphia. Then we head off to Sunday, and the Green Bay Packers head down to Atlanta to take the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons have a very decent offense. Green Bay went into Chicago and just dominated. Which is not really saying much. Jordan Love has, like I said, it looks like Green Bay is caught lightning in the bottle a second time. And he had 245 yards, 3 touchdowns last week. Jones became a focal point. They went away from the rushing attack for a while, and then they went back to it. They really established themselves. The defense is young, hungry. Atlanta does have some talent on that offense. That should cause some issues for that Green Bay defense. Right now, the line is even at the time of recording this video, and I find that somewhat shocking. I understand Bijan Robinson. There's a two-headed running attack in Atlanta. You still have Pittman is at the top tight end. Riddler is the quarterback. That's about it. Of course, I can't really name anyone else on Green Bay besides Jordan Love and Adam Jones as the top two for the Packers. So, but I think right now Green Bay and the way Matt LaFleur has really developed his team, how the back office has really established his team and built a nice core, a good offensive line, decent talent on the offense, a very talented defense. I think Green Bay is going to be very competent in this game, and I will take the Packers to win on the road. Then we head to Buffalo, where the Bills return home, trying to lick their wounds from the poor performance they did on last Monday night when they host the Las Vegas Raiders, who went to Mile High and ruined Sean Payton's coaching debut. Now they're looking to continue the woes of Josh Allen, who had 4 turnovers last week. He was just making very poor decisions. He definitely was not in sync with anyone on that team, really. I mean, Stephon Diggs did have 100 yards. They really had no rushing attack. Defense just kind of let up. They'll take on Las Vegas Raiders, who have a very nice defense, very decent offense. Kind of a well-rounded team with Josh McDaniels and Jimmy G leading the charge. You have Max Crosby leading that defense. So there's definitely a few key things that Buffalo will have to worry about. But I think Buffalo should be able to take them at home. Right now, it's a 9-point advantage for Buffalo. I doubt that as well. I think this one will also be close. I think there's going to be a lot of things that Buffalo still has to iron out to get themselves back on track. I think they'll do it against the Raiders. But I will take the Bills probably by 7. And then the Ravens come to Cincinnati, take on the Bengals. Can Joe Burrow and the Bengals rekindle their offensive magic they had last season? They went up to Cleveland and got embarrassed. And getting Baltimore Ravens come in, and the Ravens did enough offensively to win. And defensively, they were just on point, and they shut down Houston. But, of course, that's Houston. They'll take on the very talented Cincinnati Bengals offense. Can they do it again? I really think the way Cincinnati Bengals are playing right now, there's question marks. But Cincinnati Bengals won't be acting like this for the rest of the season. I think this is where they're going to start making a comeback. Right now, they're favored by 3.5. So I think their offense will definitely come back. They'll score more than 3 points. I have no question about that one. I think Baltimore's defense will definitely give the Bengals a lot of questions about their offense and trying to get the timing right with Joe Burrow, get the ball out to his receivers. And that's going to be part of the issue. I think that the rushing of Clowney and Roquan Smith should really disrupt Joe Burrow's timing, maybe interrupt a Mixon, be able to make decent running plays. I think Lamar should be able to get a little more comfortable in the passing game. Hopefully his receivers get out quicker, get open quicker, or the timing gets better because the time seemed a little off against the Texans. Or, like I said, right now Cincinnati's favored by 3.5. I'm taking Baltimore to win in Cincinnati. I think the Bengals are going to struggle to begin the season, but they should bounce back. But I'll say Baltimore squeaks out with the W. Then we head to the Motor City, where the Lions will play host to the Seattle Seahawks. And this one's a very interesting matchup between these two. Now, both had very high hopes for this upcoming season, and the opening week showed different stories, almost. Detroit ended up winning Kansas City. Like I said, there's a lot of pundits out there that were saying that the Lions could beat the Chiefs. I just couldn't go against Patrick Mahomes. Much like I can't go against Aaron Rodgers. Every time I do that, I lose. But Seattle kind of fell flat against the Rams at home. So there's a lot of question marks there. I think right now Detroit looks pretty dominant. They took it to the defending Super Bowl champs. they have a lot of possibilities in that. Right now, they're favored by 4.5. I kind of like that. I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. It should be kind of close. Should be, maybe a touchdown spread between them. But I think Detroit will end up winning and going 2-0 for the start of the season. We'll head to Nashville, where the Titans will play host to the Chargers. Both teams are predicted to win last week. Both of them failed to do so. Tennessee just couldn't outmuscle the Saints and Derek Carr, and Chargers just got outgunned by Tua and the Dolphins. So now the Chargers have to worry about Derrick Henry, who was pretty much a non-factor in New Orleans. He didn't reach triple digits. So as long as the Chargers can do that with him, that should help the Chargers maintain. Right now, the Chargers are favored by 3. And I kind of like that as well. I think this will be another close matchup by these two teams. Two teams that don't want to be playing these close games, but I have a feeling it will be another close one. And I like the Chargers as well to win in the Music City. They'll head down to Tampa Bay, where the Buccaneers play host to the Bears. And Justin Fields showed signs, and then a lot of times it was the play calling and the setup of the offense. So I watched about half of this game before I just switched it off. And with that offense, they're just not – they don't sync yet. And, I mean, the Fields has a connection with Mooney. He has a connection with Kmet. He's starting to develop one with DJ Moore. The running attack, not quite there. Offensive line, not quite there. Defense, hit and miss. It's pretty much a miss against Green Bay. Now they'll take on Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. A nice 1-2 punch for Tampa Bay. The defense showed pretty good. I mean, they weathered the storm of Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. They still came out victors in Minnesota, excuse me. And right now, the Buccaneers are favored by 2.5. And I probably just a sucker or glutton for punishment here. I'm taking Chicago. Sooner or later, I'll get it right with them. They'll win the game. I think they'll do more than win 1 or 3 games. I really think they should probably make a run for a playoff position, and I get it. But I think they could get past Tampa Bay. I know their defense still, a decent factor as well, so it's going to play a huge factor. But I think it's just offensive play calling and see if they can get the ball to DJ Moore and Mooney's hands. And then maybe so often let Justin Fields kind of help keep the defense honest. I think if they kind of do that, maybe. I don't know. I'll go on the limb. I'm taking the Bears. Then we head to Jacksonville, where the Jaguars play host to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Jacksonville had a test against the Colts. They withstood Richardson's debut. And they were able to, sustain that ability. The Chiefs fell flat against Detroit. No one stepped up to replace Kelsey as the number 1 target, which really did hamper in the offense as well. The defense was missing Chris Jones, which wasn't really making any true presence felt back there. He's now re-signed. He should be playing this week. Kelsey should probably be back as well from injury, hopefully. Haven't heard anything else about that one. But Lawrence and Ridley have really developed a nice connection. They had 100 yards touchdown last week against the Colts. And if Etne can keep the Chiefs' defense honest, Lawrence should have no problem making the passes. Right now, the Chiefs are favored by 3.5. And the over-under for points is 51. I like the over-under, but I'm taking the Jaguars to win at home and send the Chiefs 0-2. that a lot of people kind of question mark how the Chiefs going to be for us this season because they'll be defending Super Bowl champions starting the season 0-2. Some question marks, but I think it's just, a stumbling block early in the season. They should be able to right the ship, no problem. Like I said, AFC is a loaded conference. No one's really going to be dominant. It's going to be a tight race. Things are going to change a bit because of Aaron Rodgers no longer being a QB with the Jets, but like I said, a lot of these teams are still in the fight. Then we head down to Houston, where the Texans play host to the Colts. And this is where you get the battle of the first-round draft picks, Richardson versus Stroud. Richardson had a better performance, I think, overall because he was able to make a lot more, score more touchdowns. He did make an interception, had some crushable runs. He's trying to be a big-time bruiser of a running quarterback, trying to be like Josh Allen. We don't need that. He's supposed to be the face of the franchise. But I think it's just too many weapons right now on the Texans offense. I think the Texans have quietly developed a nice little team down there. It's just trying to get around that culture of the ownership and have that team take the next step. Right now, Houston's favored by 1. I like that. This is the game I was kind of questioning before coming in, so I didn't quite make it a pick until probably about now. But I will take Houston as I'm writing it right now to win the first game of the season and send the Colts to 0-2. Then we head to the SoFi where the Rams will play host to the 49ers. The Rams went to Seattle and shocked the Seahawks, and the Rams dominated the Steelers. Christian McCaffrey went off, 150 yards and a rushing touchdown. Ayuk was the primary receiver, almost 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford's going to be the better quarterback. He had over 300 yards passing. The defense will still be a factor in this game. Both defenses are going to be a point. And right now, the 49ers are favored by 8. I'll go tone that down a bit. I'll say at least 7. But I will take the 49ers to win against the Rams to go 2-0. Then we head out to the desert where the Arizona Cardinals play host to the New York Giants. Cardinals defense actually showed some life against the Commanders, but the offense is kind of inept. The Giants just looked like the little Giants and just got demolished by the Cowboys, got shut out by the Cowboys last week. They're looking to correct that problem, and I think the best way to go about correcting that problem is the Arizona Cardinals. I think they'll go in there and take care of it. Right now they're favored by 5.5. I like that. I think it'll be more than 5.5, but I will definitely take the Giants. The Jets would then have the Big D take on the Cowboys. The Jets with Zach Wilson probably won't be this. They won't have the same tenacity as you would with Aaron Rodgers. The defenses are on point. Cowboys defense looks scary as hell. The Jets defense will definitely be flying around as well. Looks like the Sauce will probably have another few more interceptions for the season because he was the favorite receiver for Josh Allen last week. I think it'll probably be the same issue with Dak Prescott as well. Right now, Dallas favored by 9. And because of Zach Wilson being the charge, I like that. I think Dallas is going to be very dominant in this one. And should be able to keep the Jets grounded. Then we have the Mile High where the Commanders come into town, take on the Broncos. And the Commanders offensively look a lot better than previous iterations. Sam Howell was actually a decent quarterback. Not the best, but decent. The thing that's what he had to do against the Cardinals. With the Broncos, he might have to be a little bit more than decent. I think Sean Payton and Russell Wilson will look to try to recover from what happened last week at home against the Raiders. Looking to try to rekindle the magic they both had in their previous outings. Right now, Denver's favored by 3.5. I like that because Washington's still a team to try to wrap your head around. And so is Denver. So we'll kind of see how this one plays out, but I think Denver should be able to eke out a victory. Then we head over to Foxborough, where the Patriots will play host to the Dolphins. Now, the Patriots themselves, both offensively and defensively, looked really good against the Eagles. They just couldn't put points on the board. The Dolphins is just one of these teams that tend to allow the offense to dictate how the defense plays. Because Tua Tagovailoa had over 460 yards in the air and 3 touchdowns. 215 yards went to Tyreek Hill alone. If Tua is allowed to do that connection again with either Hill or Waddle, it's going to be a track meet. The Patriots offense should be sufficient enough to kind of put some points on the board right now. The over-under for points is 46.5, with Miami with a 3-point favorite. I like that. I will take Miami winning in Foxborough. I think it's just going to be one of those, weird type of games where I think that New England's going to be winning for a while and just a few missed plays, and all of a sudden Tua and Tyreek Hill is going to just do some nice pitch and catch. Then Monday night, we have a double header this Monday night. We'll start things off in Charlotte, where the Saints come to town. Another NASCAR division showdown in the Queen City. See how Bryce Young can handle the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr has proven that a new lease on life in New Orleans. 300 yards passing and a touchdown. Right now, New Orleans favored by 3. I'll take that one as well. I think this is going to be another close game. Carolina's definitely has some pieces in place to make a bright future coming up, but I think the Saints is going to be just a little bit too much for them. And then we have the finale in the Steel City, where the Steelers will play host to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns end up dominating the Bengals in their home opener, and Pittsburgh struggled immensely against the 49ers. Then just couldn't get anything out of the way. This one's going to be definitely a true test of the AFC North defenses. These are the two part of better defensive units, and that 2 of the 3 good defensive units in this division. It'll be really hard to see which one comes out on top. I like Kenny Pickett. I like what he's doing. As I said, when he got drafted, he was the most NFL-ready quarterback available in that draft. Deshaun Watson, he just has to be about 75% of what he was in Houston. This is what he needs to be in Cleveland. He has enough talent there. The defense is talented. Steelers' defense is talented. I mean, it is a great thing to think. Right now, Cleveland's favored by 2.5. And I struggle to figure out which one to go with. It's kind of a coin toss. I almost want to go with a tie on this one. This is how close I think this game is going to be. I really think that, the Steelers should bounce back from their debacle against the 49ers. And the best way to do that is a divisional game with one of their heated rivals. And once again, much like the Bears game, I'm probably a glutton for punishment because of Kenny Pickett, but I will take the Steelers to take the victory, edging out Cleveland in a very close, hard-fought battle. And I think in overtime, it'll probably be within the final seconds of overtime. But this should be a very, very entertaining matchup between these two. There you go. There's week number 2. I kind of stayed on par with a lot of these teams. I picked the favorite in that one, so there are only a handful of ones that I kind of went against the grain. But we'll see how teams react from their first week, if they can recover from that. I think teams will recover for that. I think some teams will end up going 0-2, but still be positive, still have a chance to make a nice playoff run. It is a long, long season, 17 games. Anything can happen. So you can't count anyone out just yet. after the first 2 games, but definitely teams have made statements. Teams look vulnerable. And right now, some people's expectations for certain teams may not fit right yet. But like I said, the 17-game season, there's a lot of football still to play. A lot of teams has a really tough schedule. Some have really easy schedules, so it'll kind of dictate how the season plays out. But let me know down below which pick you think I got totally wrong. I already know Chicago pick, so just leave that one alone. A man can dream, can he? Which team right now has surprised you the most out of the gate? Which team is, depending on which way you look at it, that's a big surprise or disappointment. I think for me, I think it's more the Chiefs probably disappointed me the most coming out of the gate, losing because no one's able to step up. But let me know down below. Once you're down there, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, especially the Concert of Roger. It really pleases YouTube guys. Really helps put this video out. You so subscribe. About 90% of you are not subscribed. It doesn't cost you a dime. It really helps me out. You can do that by clicking that subscribe button. Click that bell icon, turn on notifications. Next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.